The air conditioning unit was blowing, making the kitchen and dining room areas a pleasantly cool temperature. But it certainly wasn't freezing inside Brie's house. So Avery surmised this was either a dramatic display, which didn't line up with her friend's character at all, or it signified that she really was the one who was terrified of encountering an alligator tonight. Wishing to change the subject slightly and hopefully recharge the group with more positive vibes, Avery asked Beatrix, "Have you seen Mikey lately?" "Yes," Beatrix sighed. "Unfortunately." "Huh?" Avery was baffled. "Something happened between you two?" She knew that years ago, when Mikey first met Beatrix, he'd asked her on a date, and she'd turned him down. She could read his personality clearly right from the jump, and understood that he wouldn't be interested in having a real relationship. He simply wasn't looking for anything long-term, and Bea wasn't hoping to have her heart broken. While this inauspicious meet-cute might have severed any ties between the pair irrevocably, that wasn't the case for Beatrix and Mikey. They'd become friends, close friends. And when he'd wanted a place far from the limelight to hide out and live in a real community, he'd moved to Buenaventura Beach, where he knew he already had a friend in Beatrix Weston. "Nothing's happened." Beatrix's shoulders sagged mournfully. But what?" Avery urged. "I feel, whenever I see him, Beatrix placed both hands over her heart, then closed her eyes and breathed deeply. "You're hurting," Brie stated in a tone that indicated she wasn't just taking a random guess. "You're heartbroken that Mikey is marrying somebody else and—" "What?" Avery interrupted. I had no idea. She had been wrapped up in so many of her own issues lately that she hadn't even thought of asking Beatrix how she felt after Mikey returned to town with his fiancée Jessie in tow. "I can't stop myself from feeling this way," Beatrix breathed. "I didn't think I wanted to be with Mikey until he brought Jessie to town. And then I knew that I'd never get my chance. Not really. And now I have to watch him marry someone else." Avery was stricken. She wanted to vault from her seat and wrap her friend in a hug, but she was stayed by Brie's next movements. Carelessly, Brie waved her hand through the air as if she were swatting a mosquito. "Don't let yourself get too upset yet, Bea. Mikey and Jessie are only engaged. They're not married. There's still time to—" "Time to what?" Avery interrupted. A chagrined look crossed Brie's face. "I know that you and Chance are together," she murmured, "and you're really happy, but you've got to admit that sometimes engagements end. Sometimes people who say they love each other one minute don't make it to the altar, and—" "Arf!" Her words dissolved immediately and were replaced by the sound of a dog yapping excitedly. "It's here. There's got to be a dog out there somewhere." Beatrix was the first to rally some kind of speech, and she uttered those words before leaping from her seat. Avery was just a step or two behind her. She leaned forward and pressed her nose against the pane of glass separating them from the backyard. "Arf! Arf!" "Where is it?" Brie muttered as she joined them. Then, in unison, all three women gasped loudly. "Is that—" Her voice shook. "Is that what I think it is?" Avery clamped her lips shut to keep herself from screaming in terror. "Yes," Beatrix whispered as her breath fogged up the glass. "That little dog is out there." "But—" Brie licked her lips, then jabbed her index finger against the window, pointing at a spot in the yard. "Is that a ghost?" "Yes," Beatrix answered. "It is." Then, because she simply couldn't hold it in any longer, Avery opened her mouth to shriek, but she produced no sound. She'd never been more frightened in her entire life. Now, when she needed to alert the authorities, to raise an alarm, she was unable to do anything other than stare at the drifting shape and feel a sense of overwhelming fear slosh through her insides.